Hey, Scott Jordan here for Jancast number 140 for Thursday, February 16th, 2023. And I have Mark Warner, co-host, and a special guest, Jeff Cross. We'll get to Jeff in just a little bit, but Mark, we've been away for a while, haven't we?
Well, we have. I mean, some of us have been surfing and others have been shivering. I forget which is which.
I was testing wax. Just happened to be surfboard wax, not floor wax. Yeah, it's been a little while, so I apologize for we kept pushing the previous Jancast and the best ofs and all that, but we're back and we're live for the rest of the year, so we're ready to roll, and had that kind of sporting event last weekend, which was certainly interesting, right?
Well, is that the soccer game?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The waste management golf game. That was the one I was talking about.
No, the Super
beer cups on the green.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. And I think things are. The field seemed to be a little slippery, but we won't go there. But the NFL has reached out to Bullen to ask whether or not they could use our dry buff on the field for future games to maybe prevent the slip stuff that was happening. But that had nothing to do with the outcome of the game anyway. Right? But the one thing that I thought tied in with the sanitary supply industry was a particular commercial for the Downy fabric softener, and the byline, I wrote it down. I said, this is killer. I don't know if we could steal it or not, but the byline is you have to sniff it to believe it. I mean, how much better is it than that, you know?
And you gotta love that. It ties in with the commercial that was all the famous actors saying, am I acting, or is it really tasty? You need to try it for yourself. I thought that was a psychological twist on what you would normally see as far as promotional advertising.
And I must admit, we're doing a bunch with QR codes, as I know Jeff does it with promoting links for his shows and everything he does. But the QR code that took you to the Rickroll, the Rick Astley song was great for AAA insurance. So that's only tie-in there. So all good stuff, but we can move on because, obviously the Eagles didn't do very well, but weren't we going to?
Yeah, but Stephen Lewis is probably the happiest guy in the ISSA right now.
Yeah. So Stephen, if you're listening, shout out to good job there. We didn't like the outcome, but good job. So jumping to Jeff. So Jeff, you don't actually write any of that stuff that you publish, do you? Isn't it all coming through ChatGPT?
Yes, they took away my pen years ago, and I just kind of stand here and do this, talk to people.
Well, let me have Mark do the proper introduction for our special guest, Jeff Cross.
Well, the crazy thing, Jeff, I was thinking about it as we were preparing, and you and I go back, it can be measured in decades. That's kind of like stunning. Yeah. But I remember when I first met you was 2004. And I know that date because it was the first Connections show. Larry Cooper and about 13 other associations had put together that show. And that was the first one I attended, and you were there. But anyway, that's not the actual introduction. It just had a warm spot in my heart there, my friend. But Jeff, we're happy to introduce you as the ISSA Media Director, and as such, you're in charge of a multitude of media platforms, ISSA Today and other pieces that are specific to the ISSA membership audience, and then other pieces that are that you'll talk about in a little bit that are really more mainstream, aimed at the general public or the general cleaning industry at large, and then some specific to the restoration industry as well. So I know that there's a list that I started, and I ran out of paper, but that's not all you do with print. I mean, one of the things that I really enjoy is your Straight Talk program, which is your podcast with all the interviews, and it's kind of fascinating. We've shared some interviewees, which is pretty cool. Don Aslett, the icon of cleaning, and John Hill, and Even somebody you're not really familiar with, John Atkins, you know,
I've heard of him.
You've heard that name. And Brant, of course, Brant and Sarah and Gavin McGregor Skinner has been on too. So I know they've all been on Straight Talk, and if they we had to like prevent them from saying all kinds of nice things about that when they were on our program. But you know, we couldn't really stop them. But I wanted also to kind of do a shout out to you, Jeff, man. You've helped me a lot over the last couple of decades. 152 years ago, when I was president of the Low Moisture Carpet Cleaners Association, you helped create some awareness for that association, for the process of low moisture carpet cleaning. And it gave me a foothold to actually speak with the Carpet and Rug Institute in Atlanta, Georgia, about embracing the idea of low moisture carpet cleaning based on the introduction of brand new chemistry that was designed to encapsulate. And you helped a lot of people when you did that. And most recently, you helped me again. So I worked with Stan Hewlin and Todd Stoneking of the University of Utah on a document that they were very inspired to write, which had to do with upgrading the way people look at a custodial closet. I mean, it's not a closet and it shouldn't be thought of as a closet. It's a working room and ought to have certain specifications that it meets, like water source and how you store things. And it turned into a white paper, and the white paper is now considered a study, and you published it. And we've had people actually reach out and ask for a copy of that white paper with the hopes that down the road, that'll end up being built into future standards as to what should be expected with custodial closets. I know you did a program with Mike Sawchuk that was all about custodial closets and how you can kind of glance inside one and get a good idea of what the cleanliness of a building might be just based on how they care for it. But anyway, that was pretty nice of you to do. Appreciate that a lot. But so I wanted to spend a little time thanking you. More importantly, though, Jeff, is you. You are more important. You've got you're a keynote speaker at the upcoming Nexus event, which is really awesome. What's that all about?
So it's not a keynote address. It's just one of the presentations.
I'm allowed to exaggerate a little bit, my friend.
No, this is Journalism 101. We tell the truth, Mark. Tell the truth. So I've done a couple of presentations at Nexus, and this one coming up, I'm looking forward to. It's about how to find the right people, build the perfect technician. I believe they call it how to find Mr. or Mrs. Right, you know, the right fit. So we often think of, you know, the labor pool and trying to find good workers. Well, you know, there's a way to think outside the box and find the very best person who can not only do the work, but also be your marketing tool. Kind of like Scott has hired you, not just to run the sales team, but because you're such a marketing person, right?
That's right.
That's part of his at play here, Mark, is you were the perfect person for the job.
I can go surf. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I like to have fun at my presentations. Mark, I've sat into some of yours. You always tell a few jokes too. So I think we have something in common there. So it'll just be an hour of, you know, what to look for, how to find them, how to get them on board, how to use them, how to empower them to be the very best they can be to help build your company, not just clean, not just do sales, but to do the marketing as well.
Well, I thought that might be the direction you were going. I mean, obviously the industry is projected to grow at an astronomical rate over the next 5 years. And part of what, you know, my background involved with training has been, you know, broken into different segments. There's obviously product training, and then there's process training, which would be the tactical part of it. You know, how do I clean a floor and how do I clean a carpet kind of thing? And then there's a whole strategic element that gets into how to manage a team or a company of cleaners, you know. So all of those things kind of dovetail with this movement that's happening in the world to put a limelight on the cleaning industry. And where I thought you might be going with and you just explained it, that you're kind of building that technician into a marketing advertising agency at the same time. So I would guess a person with that skill set might be highly desired in this day and age and might actually have more opportunity for employment.
I would hope so. The challenge is, do business owners value that themselves? You think about we're consumers, right? And that's a big part of my pitch on all the things I do is we have to remember who we are. We're going to businesses, we're hiring companies to do things for us. What do we expect when they come into our home or business to do some work? Or if we go into a restaurant or any kind of a business, you walk in and you kind of expect subpar service, don't you? It's what it is in the world today. Well, what can we do to overcome that as business owners? You have to embrace it on both sides, the person doing the hiring and the person being hired. And then when someone does a fantastic job, which they should do, but they do it and they're kind and they speak to the customer and they know how to communicate. And when the job's done, the customer feels good about the experience. That is free marketing.
Well, I've heard it said that if somebody is unhappy, they tell 100 people.
I've heard that.
And if they are happy, they'll tell one other person, so you have to be really careful not to do a bad job because that news travels faster.
And it's easy to complain.
One of the things that I was thinking about when I read the title for that program was that there's, when you're talking about building a better technician, there's certain things that are now expected. It's like a dress code. You can't really show up in sandals and a muscle shirt and a pair of shorts anymore. They're expecting, if not a uniform, they're expecting at least some kind of symmetry in the way multiple people are dressed. Maybe the same color khaki pants, the same color polo shirt, with the idea that with the heightened levels of concern about security, that people want to be able to identify who's supposed to be there and who's not. Certainly in schools, that's become a big issue.
Sure. It's a changing world.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And it's going to change into the future too. We've got National Cleaning Week coming up. That's going to be a big thing. You're all over that, aren't you, Jeff? We
are. ISSA is a big part of that. Our advocacy team, government affairs, with the fly-in and that whole week. We've all been tasked to try to get our states that we live in to declare that week. March 27th, that week, to be National Cleaning Week with each state. And you can see right here on my wall, I got the governor of Ohio, DeWine, to proclaim National Cleaning Week. And I've done that about 5 years in a row. And so there's a stack of documents there. So all of ISSA staff and all of our members are encouraged to reach out to their governors to do that. So what's the process? Is it just an email or a letter, or is it go knock on their door or camp in front of their house? Well, I met Governor DeWine downtown at a restaurant. We had drinks and then, no, just kidding. So what to do? There's a process, Mark. With our advocacy team at ISSA, they have ways to do it. There's a form you fill out. They give you all the information. Usually each state has a way to communicate with them. Normally it's online, and you just put the information in, it goes in, they review it, and hopefully will respond favorably to the request. And in Ohio, it happened. I beat Dr. Gavin McGregor Skinner. He thought he got his state first. And you could tell him I said this on tape. He did not. He was second.
So how many?
No turf battle here. No turf.
How many?
Not at all, Scott. Not at all.
How many states have embraced it? Because that becomes a leverage ploy because states don't want to be left out if it looks like a trend.
I can't say how many because we still have time to go, and I'm not sure how many have come in, but I know several. I think the goal is all of them, and that's a big bite, but it's an important topic.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to put some notes below the program in the show notes where maybe they can reach out to somebody at ISSA to help work it from their end as well.
Yeah, and I'm an easy one to contact. I can always funnel people off to the right person if no one else, if you don't know who to contact at ISSA. Yeah. But thank you, Scott.
Yeah, be glad.
Well, one of the good things we got going for us in trying to put some limelight on the cleaning industry is that the limelight is already shone on the cleaning industry with the Howie Mandel campaign and obviously what we've lived through in the last 2 years. We've all become center stage in a lot of ways. So maybe 10 years ago, if you said, "Hey, I'm involved with cleaning, I want to talk to you, Governor," they'd be like, "My car's,
Agreed.
But now we kind of have a voice, which is very, very cool.
Yeah.
I know you and I were chatting a little bit about the Howie Mandel campaign itself. I mean, Scott, you and I were really happy the other day. We did something. We had like 5 people downloaded it. So, how many people have downloaded the Howie Mandel one?
So I'm not sure about what you mean by download, but the video views. Yeah. I believe it's approaching. It's 8 million plus.
Wow.
When I checked last, it could be approaching 9, but Howie is a germaphobe and he's all about clean, and what a fit that was for us with this Rethink Clean campaign.
Yeah.
Because it's all about driving awareness of cleaning. It's not about ISSA, so to speak. It's about what cleaning is, and Howie's a great partner in that. He's now an ISSA member.
Oh,
Officially.
cool.
Officially.
Wow.
Yeah, he became one last year. And it kind of made sense, since he's representing us, that he's a honorary member of ISSA.
Oh, I was going to say, can he run for ISSA president? That would be cool. But if he's honorary member, maybe the bylaws won't allow him.
I don't know, Scott. Can you imagine our trade show if Howie sat there as president?
Well, you wouldn't have to pay for the keynote speaker then.
True. You might have started something here. We'll have to follow up on this.
So the other thing is, how many governors wouldn't take a call from Howie Mandel regarding National Cleaning Week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's another one we got started. So
yeah.
Anyway, so you and I are also chit-chatting a little bit about, all the new kind of media that you got coming with, like AR optics and VR scopes and holographic newsletters.
Coming next month.
Yep.
Next month. I don't know, Mark. I'm old school. It's I've been doing the video and the multimedia stuff started about when the pandemic started. The work from home, what am I going to do to reach the market?
Yeah.
And from then it just grew. I was surprised people wanted to watch the videos we did, and pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So our views are good. Our topics, we try to make them timely and worthy of what people need. So it's every day I get a few pitches of ideas. There's this one guy that reached out to me and wanted to do a recording about a custodial closet, and we sat down at ISSA show in the ISSA staff break room, and we put the camera up and we chatted for a few minutes, and that's got some views as well. And Mark, you did just
the 5 I was talking about. There were 5 downloads on the custodial closet. No, but that's always fun to do, and I think people like to know what's going on and kind of tap into, especially if it relates to things like standards. Everything that we do kind of revolves around our goal to try to meet a standard, and that standard is an expectation. And if we're not striving to meet that expectation, what are we doing? So all that's kind of exciting to me, to keep my thumb on that pulse.
Yeah. And part of the way we reach more people with all these topics, and like we did with the custodial closet article, or provision areas, right?
Cleaning provision areas. Yes. They're not closets anymore.
No. So in the past, up until about 2020, it was all about print. We would print articles, we'd put them on the website, put them in newsletters. Now we try to take as much opportunity as we can to do video with that. So when people get their ISSA Today magazine, or if they get the digital issue, which went out yesterday, and you can go onto the LinkedIn page for ISSA and see it there now. But your article has the video embedded in it. So it's not just about reading, it's about, you can read it or you can watch it.
Yeah.
And always there's extra stuff in the video. So Mark, that's why we sat down and did that video, because we didn't just run the video, it's also embedded in the magazine article as well. So,
and it was a lot of fun. We had a chance to kind of chit chat a little bit and say some funny things. So I actually had a comment come back to me about something I said. So that's okay. It wasn't a bad thing. But who do you have coming up with more videos, more straight talk? Do you have some special guests in the works?
I'd have to look at my calendar, but some good, always good guests, good people. It's the industry. People are giving up their time. I've got a recording with an expert about how to get rid of bad reviews on your site that shouldn't be there. The Google reviews that are like bots or BOT. I have a few sponsored ones. Spartan's coming up with one of our episodes. Just every day it's something. I think in about 30 minutes, I have one coming up about how to put together a business proposal that actually works, that the one you're trying to pitch to will read it. It's kind of like looking in a mirror. What do they look for? Just a different way of looking at bidding a job, looking at those proposals. So that's coming up today. Chris Arlen, who's an expert in that field, I'm getting with him on that. So it's always something, always new topic. You'd think you run out of ideas.
Don't you think the governor of Ohio ought to be on Straight Talk now that he's signed in for the National Cleaning Week?
Is this where I give you a blank stare?
Yeah.
That'd be great. But we're a small player in a big world, but you never know.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thanks very much for taking the time, Jeff. We appreciate it. And we'll put some links in the show notes so people to get in touch with you, as well as see the past shows. Anything else you want to sign off with to the huge audience that's following this?
Yeah, we're close to that 8 million downloads, Scott.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, just under it a little bit.
Just a little under it.
Well, you got to be in your place, right? So. Yeah. No, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for the time here. Nothing really to add except everyone just keep doing what you're doing, and don't lose the momentum that we have going right now.
Yeah, I hear you.
And you promise someday you'll invite us to be on Straight Talk.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks again, and have a great rest of the week. And thanks again for joining us, and thanks for everybody tuning in. Thanks for your patience for a new show, and we're back in the saddle for 2023, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think there's a lyric to a song that sounds like that. So anyway, thanks, everybody.
Okay, see y'all.